I'm Rob Licuria, Gold Derby Senior Editor, here with writer-director Darius Marder, who co-wrote the screenplay to Sound of Metal with his brother Abraham, in which a heavy metal drummer's life is thrown into turmoil when he begins to lose his hearing. Darius, the film's genesis is really fascinating to me. My understanding is that the story was conceived years ago with Derek Cianfrance, by the way, who I really love. Talk us through the film's... Yeah, I mean, what's not to love, right? Talk us through the film's conceptual beginnings and your journey with your brother to get to this final script.
Well, you know, it did begin 13 years ago when I met Derek within the first minute of talking to him at a school picnic for our children. And he was filming a documentary at the time of this band, this noise band, Jucifer. And, you know, Derek's such a wonderful filmmaker, and I was making a doc at the time, and we had a lot going on, but we had this real creative crossover with this, you know, doc hybrid, highly narrative way of approaching real life, or approaching, you know, kind of life on the screen. And I was just captivated by it. I just thought something just grabbed me at the time. And I started cutting footage that Derek was shooting well before I even considered writing it. But anybody who edits knows that editing is writing, you know. So in those days, I was writing. I was sorting through concepts with pictures and sound, and I even started playing with this sound perspective idea that came in about 12 years ago. And then Derek had asked if I wanted to finish the doc because he started making Blue Valentine. He knew he would never, ever finish it. And I said I didn't want to finish the doc, but I wanted to write it. I needed to write it and make this because I had kind of smelled something in it. And you know, at the time, and every writer knows this, it's that bizarre thing that calls you to projects and then you realize why over years. And, but so I kind of worked on this for a year or two, and then my brother, I just throw words around like a year or two, you know. But I dabbled for a year or two, and my brother Abraham. It's really interesting, actually. We both found ourselves at very difficult crossroads in life. He had suffered he's a musician, he's a writer, he's a poet, he's really an incredibly sensitive artist. And he's the guy I always talk to about writing and stories, and I'm always writing a story. So for, you know, ever since I've known him, and I've known him my whole life, or his whole life, I always talk to him. So he hurt himself very badly, actually. He lost 50 pounds. He couldn't lift a bag. He couldn't lift his guitar. He had a really a deep life-altering kind of physical condition, 6 herniated discs, etc. And I had asked him, I was going to go to the country and write. I said, hey, he needed this, you know, life was really hard. And I said, hey, do you want to come? We'll just make meals. You can play some music, and I'm going to write, and let's go do this. So we loaded, you know, musical equipment into the car. I loaded because he couldn't lift it. And off we went, and we started talking and eating and cooking. And we just realized, shit, we both have a story to tell here. And we just didn't stop. And we then went on a really exceptional creative process that went for a couple more years, honestly. And we took a journey in this script that was really, you know, I hope I have another experience as deep and rich as the writing of this script, because it was heuristic. You know, we kind of found things on this journey, writing maybe 1,500, 2,000 pages to get to this script and to build these characters and to go down tributaries and fully grasp and write all the poems of Lou and the songs and Ruben and build this thing in a very, very deep way. But we just really found the heart of what we really wanted to tell, that was the most frightening and the most alive.
Yeah, I mean, the film is saying so much about various things, but for me, I thought at its core it revealed a really profound truth about humanity, and that is like we're in this together, and you can venture out and you can do your own thing, but ultimately you need community and family and to belong. And I'm just wondering if that was ever when was that a light bulb moment for you, and was it something that drove the script from the beginning?
It was, actually, it really was, because from the beginning, this was a story about the trappings of identity and belonging and this kind of idea. You know, we had this mantra right from the beginning, which was, if you strip everything away, is what I am enough? You know, and we kind of thought about Reuben as this kind of vehicle to tell that story, this character of Reuben. But yes, it was always about a sense of fundamental, a shared fundamental human quality, that a human condition that we all share, which can divide us and it can connect us. And yeah, it was always what it was about.
Yeah, and I mean, just from personal experience, you know, I'm one of those people that loves to just do his own thing, and you know, I don't want to see people today. And when I saw the movie, it really hit me. And I think one of the scenes that did it most was the scenes involving the deaf characters interacting, pardon me, and conversing with each other at the table. And I felt it was very organic. It felt really authentic to me, really real and immersive. And I'm just wondering how those particular scenes develop and evolve in a screenplay.
Well, it's interesting writing into and for and with the deaf community, because, you know, and maybe it's my background in documentary, but I always knew that deaf culture, even though there was a huge amount of research involved in talking and being with people from deaf culture, I always knew that they would represent themselves. And, you know, and I wanted that, and I wanted to be surprised and stretched. I wanted to grow on set, much like Reuben does in the story, you know, because it's really a story about someone becoming a minority in a culture. And so because it's such a committed first person perspective, that scene was really exciting, that table scene, because I knew that I didn't fully know. Number one, you know, I knew that I was going to go in and learn something from the experience, which is what I really wanted. But I also knew that there was going to be one core truth, which was that this was a other culture, not another condition, you know, not the condition or physicality of deafness, but in fact a culture. And that perhaps that scene might be the place we see and feel that the most, which I really love that you bring that up, because I think that's right. You know, it's, you know, actually people in the deaf community and the people and the actors in the movie, they told me after shooting that, they said, you know, that's a deaf dinner. And
Yeah.
And we don't share that with the hearing community. The hearing community never sees that, never hears that, because when we're in a restaurant, we assimilate, you know, we act like hearing people. We don't slam the table and you know, but that's our culture. That's deaf culture. And that was so moving to me, that I felt that they honored the film by sharing it, really. And, you know, you see the drink get spilled. They were laughing because they said, you know, every single deaf dinner, a drink gets spilled.
Yeah.
So what was true about that scene in the writing was the truth for Reuben. You know, that didn't shift. What was true was the sound perspective, this concept of diegetic and omniscient. That was true. That was understood. What was so wonderful and exciting about directing the film, of course, is to allow for that life to represent itself. And that's what happened. And I think if you knew what they were talking about, you'd even know it. It's even better.
Yeah, and I just wasn't expecting it. I don't think I've ever really seen that before, to be honest. And speaking of immersiveness and how absorbed this film made me feel was obviously how we received the sound. This is talked about a lot because it's so striking in this film. Reuben's hearing becomes muffled, and then we get the dissonant frequencies through the implants, which I found really confronting and had no idea about. And then finally we get that striking silence at the end, which was like a gut punch to me. And I'm just wondering, did those narrative devices come to you early on in conceptualizing the script? Or, I mean, how did that evolve organically?
The sound perspective stuff came very early. It's like I said, that may have been 12 years ago that I kind of was dreaming. I found myself dreaming about this cinematic language. But then it was the process of earning it. You know, I knew that I was kind of, I had kind of received this incredibly special framework. And then it was about how to earn this on a story level and a character level. And, you know, it's interesting you say that you felt that gut punch with the silence, because what a shocking idea that the absence of all sound can be a gut punch. And I think that as it relates to writing or painting or all the arts, the space between the notes and music, what is that? What is it about the absence? How do you earn the absence? And, you know, so sound, that was a very diligent and incredibly understood journey that we took. My brother and I wrote pages and pages and pages of sound description that didn't even make it into the film, but just so we understood it. I mean, it didn't make it into the final script. Much of it is there, but really that's about, you know, the first two words of the script are "he hears," you know, and that's before you see the picture. He hears, and then you come to picture, and the whole shape, and the last line of the script, the first two words of the last line are "he sees." And so you move, there's a very simple arc to that, because we actually don't show on a camera level, we don't show POV until the end of the movie. The whole movie's POH. It's a point of hearing. So it's really written from that point of hearing, and very diligently so. And it's something I'm really interested in both as a writer. And this was sparked in me as a writer back in middle school, this concept of this very diligent first person perspective. It's something that really has called me for much of my adult life and even before then.
Yeah, and it really just works. And as you say, those silences in various forms can be so powerful, and they certainly were in this film. Darius, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. We're going to bring you back shortly for our panel discussion.